Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. In today's episode, we're talking about 5 skills you need to master to have success in your business. This is going to be a fun episode. I got a sneak preview of what the 5 skills are before we started recording with our guest, and I like them. You're going to want to listen in. So Tracy Sunkiss, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm delighted. What a great way to start a Monday for me.
I love it. And you're all the way across the pond, not in the UK, but in South Africa, which is super cool. I love all the international guests on the show here. So talk to me about this. 5 skills to master to grow your business. There's a ton of skills to master. How did you come up with these 5? Where'd they come from?
Well, working with entrepreneurs across the globe for over 10 years, I think it's given me very good insight into what characteristics or what behaviors help business owners succeed, and then what gets in the way of that. So the real reasons why people don't get the results or business owners don't get the results they want, they pretty much fall into one of these categories.
So it sounds like you've just observed human beings for a long time and seen what goes wrong.
Absolutely. That's the only way to move forward is to understand where are we going wrong and then kind of to address those things.
I like it. So I'm curious. I want to dive into this list because you told me the preview of the 5, and I think you're spot on. But let's start with the top of the list. What is behavior or skill number 1 that we need to master?
Number 1 is prioritizing. So what we see very often is that business owners they're not in control of their time. Their time controls them. So they running around trying to get stuff done, fighting fires, instead of planning out in such a way that they know how they need to spend their time in order to get results. So this also means making sure that you're focusing on strategy within your practice as well. You need to make sure that you're working on your business and not just in the business. And that's pretty huge.
Mm-hmm. So when you say prioritizing, we all know what that means, but what does it look like? Because we are prioritizing, it's just not the right thing. So how does this actually show up when you see these entrepreneurial animals in the wild, so to speak?
Great question. In order to, I think the E-Myth digs into this probably in the best way that I've ever seen. So the easiest way to understand what you're spending your time on is to have a look at what you're spending your time on over the course of a week, and then put all of those activities into 3 different baskets. The first one is going to be the entrepreneur. So this is the strategy space. Are you looking to the future? Are you looking to see what's coming up? What changes in regulation? Where are the opportunities? We want business owners to be spending the majority of their time in that space. The next is a manager. And the manager is all about making sure that your systems and processes are running. It really is about optimizing efficiencies, making sure you're dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and fulfilling on your promise. And then the last one is a technician. So this is hands-on patience kind of thing. It's how much are you getting involved in the actual nuts and bolts of the business rather than that management and entrepreneurial space.
So it sounds like people are spending more time in the manager and the technician rather than the entrepreneur. Is that what you're hinting at?
That's absolutely true. And if you have a look at any business that is going to scale or any business that's going to move from one development phase to the next, they need to understand where they have to spend their time. I mean, if you're stuck in fulfillment, that is and this is going to sound bad, I don't know how else to say it, but that is the lowest use of a business owner's time, because that is the easiest thing to replace to somebody else. But what we see is that they're spending time to save money rather than spending money to save time. And you absolutely cannot do that if you're expecting the practice to grow.
Yeah, I agree with you. And a question that I hear a lot, or I get a lot actually, whether I'm on a podcast or from clients or from just passing conversations, is, well, I can't necessarily hire somebody right now. I can't afford it. What do I do now? Because in theory, I get the, hire somebody to take away this work and then I'll go focus somewhere else. Um, I have my perspective on that. I'm curious to hear yours. If someone says, they come with those beliefs of I can't hire somebody, I can't afford it, whatever they are, how do you
Mhm.
do that?
Well, if you don't do something different, you're not going to change. The results aren't going to change. If you're not able to keep up with the capacity in the practice. So if you are working 50, 60 hours a week, you're never going to be able to grow unless you free up that capacity. And what that
Mm.
means is you have to get somebody to take over the responsibilities that is wasting your time. There's no other way to look at it. In fact, you're never going to be able to make more money if you're stuck in the trap of kind of at the limit, right? So yeah, the only way to make more money is to free up more of your time.
I agree with that. It's the definition of insanity, right? What you just said is doing the
Mhm.
same thing and expecting different results.
Yeah,
That's just crazy. My perspective, I don't want to put this on you, but I
yeah.
say if you're at that point where you truly cannot hire somebody else, even in a limited capacity, you don't own a business, you own a job, and you'll never own a business if you
Oh,
continue
absolutely.
down this path. So
Mhm.
I love what you're saying. I just might be a little bit more negative about it, a little more harsh.
Well, listen, it's a big commitment, and
Yeah.
that's actually a good thing. You don't want people to just, take on people not understanding that, responsibility to bring another person into your space. It's so important, right? And
Mm.
it's also very difficult to know that, well, now you're going to have to kind of give stuff away, and practice owners really want to hold on to stuff. It's very difficult to give it to somebody else, and they're so afraid that that person isn't going to be able to care as much or do it as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it totally changes the game, which is something to be considered, like you said.
Mhm.
But if you want to go down that path, if you want to hire people, you just got to do it. You got to offload those things. So prioritization, that's a good one. I like that. So let's move on to number two then. What is the second skill that we have to master?
Second skill is language, right? I'm not talking about communication. I'm talking about practice owners need to learn the language of business. They have to understand their business plan. They have to speak that language to be able to understand how to use it. The big one here is the language of finance. So you need to understand not from your bank account, but from your financials. What is your profit margin? How are you pricing correctly? Is your I think your ratio of expenses to income solid? Balance sheet wise, how much equity is available? Is this balance sheet going to be attractive to investors? So I have to understand the finance, and not in a reactive way. So usually what we see is, oh, the bookkeepers deal with that, and then maybe 6 months later they have to sign stuff off, and then they'll look at it, but they don't understand the story it's telling. And that's really what I mean by learning the language. You need to understand what story is being told by this part. So first is business, second is market. And this is really where a lot of business owners go wrong as well. Because in the market, it's not about you. And what we see so often is business owners coming out and trying to position how amazing they are and how qualified they are, and they just love everybody, and it's a family business, and you're going to get better service here than anywhere else. They don't care about you. They care about, do you understand my problem? And are you able to solve that problem? Right. So you need to be able to speak the language of the market, which means you have to be able to communicate value. How are you expressing, this is the problem that I'm going to solve for you, and this is the way I'm going to do it? So you're not going to be able to get this thing anywhere else. So instead of becoming a commodity, you're actually able to differentiate and to start standing out.
Yeah, I mean
And
that's
I forgot two, and I'll go very, very fast.
Oh, please.
The other is the language of performance. So understanding how to show up as a leader, how to make people as excited about coming into work as what you are. And then the final one is just making sure that you can kind of roll all of these together so you can compel investors. If investors is something that you're interested in, you'll need to combine all of those.
Yeah, no, that's huge too. I want to kind of take a step back to the finance one for a minute, because that's a crucial area that I think a lot of people don't understand the distinction between what you said, which was not just rear facing, but also forward facing. And if you want to put a whole bow on that whole section, the investor piece, if you can't convey the forward facing financials, at least the strategy and the targets to investors, you will never have well, you want to have good investors at least. But talk to me about where you typically see people in the language of finance, because I think so many people are concerned with what has happened, thinking P&Ls, balance sheets, statement of cash flows, and not enough are looking forward. Is that an accurate statement based on your assessment?
My assessment is most don't do either.
Even better.
Yeah, they don't understand even a basic profit and loss. So when you go into the conversation and you say, first start out with the nice stuff, because you want them to be excited, and you start talking about the vision. What is it that you're aiming for? Because you also want to understand, is there a budget connected to this, right? Do they have financial goals? So most of the time they don't really know where they're headed, and they surely don't have goals. And if they do, it's those goals that month on month, they just like increase. So, 5, 10, 15, 20, which is ridiculous. So yeah, most of them don't know. Most of them go by billings. So how much money is coming in? And as long as the money coming in is enough to pay all of their stuff, they don't understand that there's a deeper story.
I'm shaking my head, Tracy. Now I'm just upset.
Tell me, lay it on me.
No, it's just crazy that if you say most don't do either, that blows my mind. How could you ever even expect to grow a business if you don't know where you were? Even if you were to
why do you think it's the 3%, right? Why do you think?
It makes sense now. Now it makes sense to me. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I see a lot of people who do the rear facing. I mean, we had a client, I still have a client who, when we met them, this person, I won't give away too much, they were getting financial reports 3 to 5 months after the month had closed. I'm like, you can't really, I mean, it's good that you have it. You can pay your taxes, I guess, but you really can't do anything else with that information at that point, because you're 3 to 5 months in the future. There was definitely no sign of looking at the future and the financial forecast of where you're going. So that was one of the first things we did is get the financials in place, get them accurate and up to date, and then start to put that plan for how we're going to approach our future targets. Mm-hmm. It just, I'm lost on that one. How do you run a business without that? But anyway, I digress, right?
There's so much fear around that. Like, I'm not a numbers person, or especially I'm a doctor. That's not my wheelhouse. But if you're a doctor that owns a practice, that's absolutely your wheelhouse. What makes that kind of fun is that is where you would go to see if you're a millionaire, if you've got $1 million practice. It's all going to be there. That's where you're going to go to see all of that hard work is paying off, because you're becoming more profitable, the business is healthier, and you're increasing its value. That's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah. Or it's like you said, that's where the fear could come from, because you could find out you don't have $1 million practice. And
absolutely
both sides of the same coin. So yeah. we'll leave that one there for now, but that's financial literacy is definitely important. I don't know where we are. I lost count. We talked about
we're at number 3.
3. Okay. Awesome. Hit me with number 3.
Okay. So 3 is all about being a really capable problem solver. So business owners know every single day they're faced with problems. The important thing for any business owner is to solve the right problem at the right time. So it's not about just jumping to the first conclusion that they make about a a problem statement. So something goes wrong and they automatically assume this is what's going on. You can spend so much time, effort, and energy trying to fix something when you're really only fixing a symptom. You're not fixing what's actually going on. With the problem solving, that locus of control also comes into this sphere, right? It's about understanding that you are responsible for everything. It's not the market, it's not the industry, it's not the political situation, it's not the fact that people don't have disposable income. You have to take responsibility for the results that you're getting, because ultimately you're only going to get different results if you change something. And that is the function of a business owner.
Yeah, but
So,
if I can't blame all those other things, that's no fun. Then
yeah,
I
it's
have
no
to sit with
fun.
that.
It's no fun. But also, once you understand that everything comes down to you, after that fear passes and you stop sweating and have to take something just to calm you down, you realize that this is the most empowered place to be. Because if everything comes to you, then success comes to you. And
Mhm.
that opens up a world of opportunity, because then it becomes, what can I do to get better results? So if people don't have disposable income, can I first fact check that, right? It's about being objective. Can I fact check it? And then it's about solving that problem. If that's a problem, how can I work around this? How can I look at financing options? How can I look at looking at financing in-house, although I really don't want to do that. But yeah, it's about being creative. The business owners that succeed have very creative problem-solving skills. So they're able not just to solve the root cause of the problem, but they're able to see how that actually happens, and then go above and beyond, so that this doesn't actually, it's not a recurring thing. They can solve it once, so that they can get to a next set of problems.
Yeah, the identifying the true root cause, and then I think combining tip 3 or skill number 3 with skill number 5, which we're not to yet.
Uh-huh.
We will get there, but that's
Yeah.
my personal favorite way to do that. But we're on number
Mhm.
4, so why don't we roll through 4 and then we'll round the episode out with tip 5, skill 5.
Absolutely. So this is all about being objective. It's about looking at the story that all of your data is telling you, and not letting emotions run wild. I mean, running a business is flippin' scary. You're on your own. You always have to be the one kind of at the top. It's difficult. You don't have other people who you can kind of go and cry to for emotional support. You can't do that with your team. You can't do that with your spouse. Hopefully, you're not doing that with your clients or your investors. And so it's so important to understand that, first, be sure that your emotions are relevant. So a great example here is, I often get clients coming to me and saying, their ads aren't working, right? It's not working. We're not getting anything out of it. Don't want to do it. And yet, when you go and dig in and we start looking at, okay, what is the cost per lead? What is your close rate? What is your show rate? And then what is your return on ad spend? They're getting a 10x return on ad spend. The problem isn't that the ads aren't working. The problem is that they're not increasing their budget to accommodate the performance. So make sure that you understand that data, and that you know how to respond to that. Information doesn't lie. Data doesn't lie. It doesn't try to spare your feelings. It really is the most empowering way for business owners to understand exactly where they're at and exactly what problems they need to solve, so that they can improve performance.
Yeah, I look at that one kind of the same way as number 3, right? Is like, if you can't make up these stories because you're looking at data, where's the fun? I mean, if we can't complain to people and make up stories and BS, why are we even running a business, right? It's now you're making business boring. I'm kidding. Kidding. These are absolutely concrete truths to running a business, and I love it, Tracy. So thank you. Which brings me to point number 5, my personal favorite. If you couldn't tell already, please share with us number 5.
Fun, play. Like, you have to take a lighter view of what's going on, because otherwise your running a business becomes a job. It becomes a nightmare. And when you start feeling that way about what you're doing, that's how you show up and everything just sucks, right? That's not why you own a business. You own a business because you want autonomy, because maybe you're a little bit competitive and you want to see just how far you can stretch yourself, right? You want to actualize that potential that you know you have. But you can't be on 100%. You can't be on all the time. There was a study done, I believe it was by the University of Pennsylvania. They studied that, well, they came out with their conclusion was that when people are tired, their cognitive function is the same as a drunk person. So take your breaks, get back into the quality of life things, because your quality of life can't be kind of a slave to the business. It shouldn't be like that. I mean, the whole reason of a business, also not other than doing all of the stuff you like with the skills that you've got, is also to help you achieve the kind of lifestyle you want. So you need to understand you can't just work yourself to death and then not get the benefits of the lifestyle because you're just 24/7 in the business. So mentally, you need to have, I think in neuroscience, I think it was David Rock came up with the healthy mind platter, where he says to be a healthy human being, it's not about balance. Forget balance. Balance is like, you can't balance. Think of a tightrope. That's balancing, but it's bloody awful, isn't it? Like, go this way, die. Go this way, die. Who wants balance? No. He introduces the healthy mind platter. So he says you need to play, you need focus, you need sport, you need your life to be made up of more than just work. And the irony there is, as soon as you do that, you show up more powerful for the business, and unquestionably, you get better results.
Yeah, hands down. And I couldn't agree with that more. I've met so many people, and I'm guilty of this in my past too, where you work your Monday through Friday and nothing crazy. I mean, it could be 40, 50 hours, but you need the weekend. You need it to recharge because you're just wiped. And it's not balance. I hate that word too. I'm more a fan of harmony, hence the name of the show. But yeah, you can't do that. Work 5 days to recover for 2. You're not living life at that point. So I 100% agree. Tracy, this was awesome. I love these 5 skills. I love what you're doing. Where can the listeners go if they want to learn more? Have you help them grow their business, understand these 5 skills better, whatever that may be? Where can they reach out to you?
They can reach out to me. There is going to be a link that I will share. That's going to take you straight through to a 30-minute strategy powwow. So free, no obligation. Spend 30 minutes with me and see what's getting in the way of your amazing results, and have something that you can work with to improve that. I also have other resources that I can point you to, free resources that can help you embed all of these things that we've spoken about. So it's a training platform, but let's see if that's going to be beneficial first. So we'll start with the 30 minutes.
I love it. This is awesome. You've already spent 20 minutes with Tracy. Go spend the extra 30. Find out what the root of your problems are, what's holding you back, and then of course you can resolve that and get to the other side. Tracy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All the info is down below in the show notes. We will see you on tomorrow's episode of Harmonious at Lunch.